This video is brought to you by water. Hydrate. No, but seriously, before we hop in today's video, I just wanted to let you guys know that Minus World has their own YouTube channel now. Now let me ask you this, do any of you remember watching the 10v1 Mario 64 videos on the Hobros channel? Well, guess what? Our entire group is still here and we're now uploading 1 to 3 times a week. We're currently putting out a podcast.
Sometimes you just grab the big bag at the grocery store and you can feel like there's something wrong with it, and yeah, sometimes accidents happen.
Like there's something growing in it?
Competing in games.
I don't think you guys understand how lonely a kid I was and how many times I played this game in my childhood.
I slipped off I forgot. I slipped off.
I don't think I've ever heard you make that sound before.
And sometimes just vibing.
No, I shouldn't have taught you how to do that. No.
This channel has honestly been a really fun time for all of us and more of a passion project than anything. And it's already loaded with videos, so if you want to check it out, go subscribe right now. There's a link in the description and in the card. But now, on to today's video. The Flood Pack is one of Mario's greatest tools as it lets him attack enemies with water, float in the air, blast into the sky, or even run across water. Flood's starting to sound so great that maybe you don't even need to jump anymore, right? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Let's see how many jumps it would take to beat Super Mario Sunshine. Honestly, that's up to us to define. It could be as simple as you aren't allowed to jump, but everything else is fair game. In fact, there's speedruns where those exact rules apply. I'll link one below because they're really fun to watch. But I wanted to take this idea and push it a step further because I feel like a lot of Mario moves could count as jumps. So not only are we not allowed to do a single, double, or triple jump, but we also can't side flip, jump dive, spin jump, roll out of a dive, jump out of the water, jump off poles, and wall jump. This severely limits our options to an extent that we're gonna have to get really creative to get through these levels. So throw on that swimwear, it's time to take a dive into this challenge. In terms of vertical movement, we really only have 3 options: diving, the hover nozzle, and the rocket nozzle. We start off by grabbing the shine in the Delfino Airstrip, and it's pretty easy to do since I don't need to travel vertically. The same goes for Delfino Plaza. Spraying the piranha in Shadow Mario takes no effort. The real fun begins with Shine 1 in Bianco Hills. My first obstacle was getting around this giant wall. The best method, of course, would be to get as high as possible, so I hovered up to the grass, then towards one of the trees. To my surprise, Mario grabbed it, which is interesting because I always thought Mario had to jump first, but I guess not. The boss is once again just a piranha, so he went down pretty easily. On to Shine 2, one of the jumps up the tower is a little hard, but I managed to make it with a ledge grab. The following piranha fight is super weird without jumping. You can still easily spray his mouth with water, and thankfully you can get just enough height by hovering over his stomach, and once you land, you simply ground pound. I was fairly certain Shine 3 wouldn't be doable jumpless, but we'll get to that in a jiffy. Getting to the cave alone was pretty crazy. Diving after using the hover nozzle for some reason launched me backward, but then by mashing as fast as I could, I managed to climb my way up. Mario Sunshine Physics, ladies and gentlemen. Mario Sunshine Physics. The game just has weird properties with specific hills. Sometimes the hover nozzle lets Mario shoot up no problem, but now that we're in this secret level, well, there's nothing I can really do. I tried diving onto the little stubs in the corners, but couldn't get enough height. Diving into the trees didn't work either. I even tried bonking for extra height, but nothing was working. So sadly, I used my first jump to climb up this tree and dove to the next platform. Unfortunately, the following platforms are way too tall for Mario to dive up, so I had to jump 3 more times. I might have been able to save a jump here, but it's unlikely. Next, I had to dive onto these spinning stars, which, while doable, was quite challenging. I needed to time my dives just about perfectly or I'd fall to Kingdom Come. The last challenge was getting the shine itself. It was too tall for me to just run into. Diving wasn't working, and the stubs in the tree were once again too tall. Or so I thought. There's a tiny slant where the star is, and I thought that maybe Mario could get some height diving off of that. And believe it or not, you actually can. On most of my successful attempts, I would land on the stump and instantly fall from the speed. But eventually, I managed to land on the stump and grab the ledge instead. After that, I simply dove and ground pounded to increase my hitbox and was able to barely nab the star. For Shine 4, I got 5 of the 8 red coins, but the other 3 were too high for me to grab. We'll come back to this Shine later, seeing as we can probably do it when the rocket nozzle is unlocked, so we'll try it out in a bit. The next level to venture to was Ricco Harbor, but of course we need to take out the Piranha first. As soon as I entered the level, I knew getting to the other side was going to be fairly unconventional. I started by hovering towards this piranha, then bounced off him to hover again and get on top of the ship. While this was a really awesome swag move, it honestly wasn't practical at all. Then I noticed the crane up ahead. It was moving a platform under and out of the water, so I hovered over there to climb way up and managed to get to the blooper. The boss fight was pretty simple, and was able to complete Shine 1 without a jump. Shine 2's level felt really awkward because I'm so used to leaping over walls to take shortcuts, but you can easily get the Shine without jumping. But wait till we get to Shine 3. Alright, you've waited long enough. This freaking level was one splash of a concoction. The biggest hurdle is figuring out where the heck you can go since there were so many options, as well as many dead ends. I started by taking this route with the moving pole. This was a nightmare because I couldn't jump off of it, and pushing B to drop didn't keep my momentum after using the hover nozzle. I could slide up to the top and glitch off the pole, which worked, but it was super finicky. Regardless if you even count that as a jump, it didn't matter because the path wasn't viable, seeing as I would need to jump off the girders, so I was gonna need to restart and find another way. I did find another set of girders I could climb up that didn't require jumping, so I used that instead. I went back to the crane that moves the platform up and down and had the weirdest glitch. For some reason, I straight up passed through the platform. Maybe when it's moving in and out of the water, there's not collision? I don't know. But anyway, once I got up top, I must have tried at least 4 or 5 different routes. Some of them I was able to make some headway, others I ran into dead ends fairly quickly. My only option to completing this star was to get the rocket nozzle, and only one of them was active at this point in the game. The problem with that is I had to jump one time to get to an area that has that nozzle. Once I got the rocket nozzle, it was as easy as pie collecting this. Shine 4 was another secret level, so I'm expecting to have to make some jumps. First I grabbed the rocket nozzle just to make it easier to travel around the level. Then once I got inside the secret area, things were looking rather dire. And to my surprise, I could actually navigate these spinning crates by slowing my dive at the end of one and getting to my feet. It was extremely hard to time, but I was actually getting across all these crates with this strategy. It was even better when I bonked off something because Mario got on his feet a little bit faster. What really worried me though were these wheels. I probably tried this part 50 times thinking that I was gonna need to jump, until I realized that if I dive at the tip of this wheel, Mario slows down fast enough that he manages to stand up before sliding to his death. So while this is insanely hard to do, I actually managed to dive from wheel to wheel. The second half of the level was once again just timing dives. Even the really large crate was possible to get through. To get the star, I had to dive into the corner again, then dive and ground pound. And holy crap, we actually beat a secret level without the flood pack and without jumping. That is simply mind-boggling. Shine 5 was incredibly easy. I just grabbed the rocket nozzle and smacked that blooper silly. Shine 6 was another simple level, but unfortunately requires 2 jumps. We have to get these red coins while riding the blooper, and there's 1 coin to jump for as well as a jump to reach the shine. As for Shine 7, I started by hitting Shadow Mario a few times, then grabbing the rocket nozzle. He was really annoying to take out because I couldn't chase him very easily without jumping. After running around in circles, I eventually hit him enough times and finished up Ricco Harbor. Next on our journey was Gelato Beach, and holy crap was Shine 1 a disaster. Getting into the level was fine, but there was no way I could clear this with 0 jumps. I did try to minimize as many as I possibly could though. I was able to save 3 jumps by diving across most of the sand. Now as you can see, there's 4 gaps, and no matter how many times I tried, I could not dive to this 4th sand block. Maybe there's some way to do it, but Mario was either too far away or lost too much speed after his previous dive. Once I got to the green block, I tried diving and ground pounding onto the nails to save an extra jump, but I could not get myself up there without bonking. So unfortunately, I had to commit to another 4 jumps up this column of sand, and after that was another 2 jumps. I was able to barely dive onto the next green block, so I managed to save a jump there. But it gets worse. There was nothing I could do to make my way up this sandcastle without jumping. At the end, I dove and ground pounded for the star, so I saved 1 there, but that totals out to 11 jumps, which is just disgusting. Shine 2 was very slow going. After squirting a cataquack to one side of the mirror, I had to run to the tip of the mirror, use the hover nozzle, and move down a tiny bit so I could ground pound. Surprisingly, this actually worked. I was a little worried I had to be on the complete opposite side to flip the cataquacks. Shine 3's Wiggler battle was a combination of just random and annoying. At first, I had no idea how I was going to get myself on top of Wiggler since the hover nozzle doesn't get high enough. After a few tries, I realized I could use the nozzle off the sand mound to get enough height, and that worked for the first 2 hits. The third hit was where things got a wee bit tricky. To my recollection, you can only hit the Wiggler in this one spot. The issue with that is the Wiggler slides really far into the water, so I tried the same strategy by launching off the sand mound, and he was so far away that I just couldn't reach him. I tinkered around with this for another 15 minutes and decided to try the sand mound strategy again, and for some reason, it worked this time. I guess I was higher, had more speed, but honestly, it feels like luck that I even got up here. But I'll take it since that's another level with 0 jumps. Now Shine 4 will surprise you. Maybe you'll even gasp. The hardest part of the Sandbird Shine wasn't the Sandbird. It was actually getting there. After diving up the mountain, I needed to bounce off this tarp to get inside. The only problem is I'm supposed to jump off this slide and I can't use my hover nozzle while I'm sliding. So after loads of attempts, I managed to use the hover nozzle halfway down the slide, slowly move towards the bottom, and somehow grab a ledge. Then with really precise maneuvering, I climbed up the hill, turned around slightly, and started the hover nozzle again. Doing this with good speed allowed me to barely snag onto the tarp and get inside. Getting the red coins was fairly easy. For the ones in the air, I just needed to dive and ground pound to nab them. And for the star itself, I just used the hover nozzle and ground pound it again. Normally racing Piantissimo is really easy, but without jumping, I was gonna need to get pretty creative. My first route was to slide towards this tree, bonk into it, climb up, and make my way up the mirror and simply dive up the hill. I got a decent time of 34 seconds, but it wasn't fast enough. So I decided to try the same strategy, but for the tree that was closer to me. I didn't try this at first because this strat is much harder, but I might have a better chance beating him. And this is what happened. Yeah, I don't think that could have been any closer. I'm really glad that I'm good at button mashing. There's not much to say about Shine 6, you just swim around and get the red coins. For Shine 7, the only word to describe Shadow Mario for this shine is pest. Chasing Shadow Mario was nothing short of obnoxious. I felt like I was trying to swat a fly with the tip of a pencil. Unlike the other shines, this one makes sure that Shadow Mario is as far away from you as humanly possible. And when Shadow Mario started jumping up towards the top, I basically had to lure him down to hit him again. It got to the point where I had to debate him to come towards me, otherwise I just could not get near him. In 12 agonizing minutes later, I finally took him out without jumping. After that was Pinna Park, and Shine 1 has no jumping involved since you basically just shoot missiles at Mecha Bowser. Shine 2 was another stage that was looking rather unfriendly. And shockingly, the disappearing platforms weren't even the problem. The issue was the platforms after those. I tried diving as far as I could and I wasn't even getting close to the ledge, so I unfortunately had to do a rollout. And the same goes for this jump at the end. Now, maybe you can get this dive if you were to task it perfectly, but honestly, I doubt it. Shine 3 was much easier than I anticipated. There were only a couple tricky red coins to grab, like this one where I had to land on this green bar and hover nozzle to it. It took a little while to get the coins, but it really wasn't that bad. Shine 4's wilted sunflowers were much more annoying than I anticipated. Squishing the small Snoopakuzas wasn't the issue, the last big one was. I kept trying to get enough height once it was on its back, but every time I sprayed it with water, it would just flip over and hit me. After dozens of attempts, I eventually just ground pounded out of frustration inside the Koopa, and somehow that counted. Look, I don't make the rules. Don't ask me how that worked. Normally for Shine 5, you have to jump several times, but I was able to knock this down to only 2. By walking around the edges, I'm able to bypass a large portion of this labyrinth. However, I'm not supposed to jump off of these girders, but I have to do it one time because there's no position I can put myself in where this would work. Unless there's some other way up, I wouldn't know what else you could do. My second jump has to be off this clothesline because there's no other way to get off otherwise. I was able to save a jump for this Electric Koopa though. By using the hover nozzle, I could blast my way up this wall, then fall while I'm higher up, and hover once again to grab the girder. Then I can take out the Electric Koopa and get the shine. Shine 6 was another secret stage that just wasn't meant to be completed jumpless. I saved as many jumps as I could, but it wasn't very much. I tried to dive after this spinning yellow cube, but I wasn't even getting close, so I just had to jump there. Next was going from the orange to red cube. I got stupidly close a few times, but kept bonking off the corner, so this was another jump. As for the green and black cubes, I was able to dive onto them, but only by the very skin. The blue cube was just a tiny bit out of reach, so I had to jump for that one as well. On the other side, it was the exact same problem. I had to jump from black to blue and orange to red, but could dive from blue to green and green to red. Next was another orange cube, which I couldn't make, so that was another jump. After that, I was able to dive to this moving cube and save 2 jumps, which was nice, but for this final part, I decided to side flip, do a few wall jumps and a big jump dive, which totaled out to 6 additional jumps. For the shine itself, it was just barely too high for me to do the dive / ground pound trick, so I had to jump for that one as well. So, all in all, that went to shine with a total of 13 jumps. And look, there might be a way to save a jump or two, but this was the best I could do. Shine 7 was another agonizing Shadow Mario shine, but not nearly as bad as Gelato Beach. Like before, I had to keep stopping to spray Shadow Mario and just do that over and over. Now you might be wondering why I'm not diving after him for more speed. Well, that's because I can't hit A to roll out and spray him. I would have to wait for my dive to come to a stop or bonk into something. Both of those circumstances wasting too much time. But anyway, I managed to do this one without jumping. Noki Bay is the most vertically based level in the game, so I don't see there being really any shines where we can avoid jumping outside of maybe a couple. The first jump we can't clear is this basket, then quite a few more from climbing the mountain. Then we can save a few jumps on the short stumps, but not much. After throwing the bob-ombs, we got our star with a total of 7 jumps. And yes, I do know there's a rocket nozzle in this level, but it takes several jumps just to access it, which defeats the whole point. This second star in Noki Bay would require us to do dozens of jumps, so we're gonna resort to a speedrun skip to save on a lot of these. We'll start by climbing up the mountain again and then refill our water. This is 5 jumps. We'll then add in another 2 jumps to reach this spring. Now we're gonna use the spring to get Shine 2 in a pretty fun fashion. After positioning myself in the corner, I did one more jump through the spring right before hitting the ground, moved towards the opposite direction, and clipped out of bounds. I used the hover nozzle to aim where I was going, did a dive, and finally ended up in the room with the shine. And there you have it, only 8 jumps instead of what may have been around 20 to 30 jumps. Shine 3 was really easy because you're literally in the water the whole time. But what's nice about Shine 4 is we actually don't have to talk to the grandpa about the eel. We can simply swim to the spawn point where the waterfall is and get our shine. For Shine 5, I had to do one tightrope jump to get to Piantissimo, but otherwise the race was easy. Like, it's actually embarrassing how easy this is. I literally just used my hover nozzle on some of the floating platforms, held up on my control stick in the water, and won. Shouldn't have been that easy. Oh, but Shine 6, that was an absolute disaster. There was absolutely nothing I could do to avoid jumps here. Just getting to the secret shell took 5 jumps alone, and the secret level put us in a box that we're forced to wall jump out of. There's a couple places in the secret stage where I was able to dive across platforms or even just grab the ledge and pull myself up, but those opportunities were few and far between. By the end, we had to do 18 jumps, so that was pretty painful. Thankfully, Shine 7 was easy to knock out because Shadow Mario can be destroyed in quick succession. But now, let's take a brief break from levels. Once we unlock Yoshi, we're gonna need him to open up Sirena Beach. The problem with that is we can't jump under any circumstances because he can't dive or use a hover nozzle. So our best and only option is to do 2 spin jumps to get us to the pipe, eat the pineapple, and hover into the pineapple afterwards. Thankfully, this is the only time we're gonna need Yoshi, so it's really not that big a deal. Shine 1 in Sirena Beach is just as annoying as usual, but it's more than doable. Shine 2 is another extremely painful shine to get. Reaching the secret level went much better than I thought it would. I only needed to jump 1 time at the top. Most of the pink ghosts were level enough that I could use them with the hover nozzle. I even discovered this fun strat to use this lamp to reach the ghost a little bit easier. But the secret level is just horrible. There's quite a few jumps at the beginning that we're forced to take with no exceptions, but the hardest part was saving jumps at the end. There's this sand pyramid that I have to get around, and I found I can save jumps by ledge grabbing the sand blocks. As you can imagine, this is extremely hard to do consistently. The angle that I had to initially dive at is hard enough, but then I had to make sure I'm at the right height to ledge grab every single sand block without one mistake. At the end, we do have to jump once, sadly, but at least we can dive off this stroll and stew for a cool shine grab. And with that, we did 18 jumps. Good grief. Shine 3 is another one where we're gonna have to implement the speedrun route, since that'll save us tons and tons of jumps. Once inside the building, we grab this banana, then simply walk up the staircase. Once we get up top, we're gonna align ourselves behind this wall, do a backflip and throw the fruit, and bam! We're inside and can nab the shine with only one jump. I can't believe I did this trick on my first try as well. Pretty fun moment, I gotta say. Shine 4's casino portion was fine and dandy, but the secret level is where the jumps come in. Surprisingly, I was able to complete almost the whole thing with just dives. Even the parts with the rotating cubes could be done because there's spots where I can dive at a high angle. But sadly, I needed to do 2 jumps across these wooden bars since they were way too spread out. And after that was a slew of easy shines. These include the 5th, 6th, and 7th shine. Afterwards, we nabbed the turbo nozzle in Isle of Delfino and grabbed this shine inside the lighthouse. Once I got that, I grabbed the rocket nozzle next. Now that the rocket nozzle is unlocked, we can finish up Bianco Hills. Or not! As it turns out, the rocket nozzle still isn't unlocked, which means I could have finished this level ages ago. So I suppose we'll just finish it now. I managed to get 6 of the 8 coins without jumping, but I needed to do 4 jumps to grab all 8 and get the shine. Shine 5's boss fight didn't require a jump, but actually waking him up did. I had to take a similar path that I did for the red coins, so 3 jumps in the town area and 2 more closer to PD Piranha. Next was another secret stage. Before we got to Shine 6, I had to make 1 jump because I couldn't get enough height off this log. The red and blue platforms for the most part could be either walked across or it took 1 dive. All in all, we only needed 4 jumps to finish this shine. And Shine 7 was really easy since it was just Shadow Mario. But now we're at the final main level, Pianta Village. Getting inside the pipe to Pianta Village was kind of hilarious because I had to use this overly large rocket blast just to get the height required to get inside. But the first shine was really simple. The land is all flat, so it can be done jumpless. The race against Piantissimo still didn't worry me because at the beginning, I used water to gain a lot of speed while diving. However, he got scarily close to me near the tree, so I had to do this. Yeah, I'm honestly in disbelief at how well that went. The third shine was tricky because we can't use Flood for most of this. However, we can use a speedrun strat to save on quite a few jumps. By letting ourselves get hit by the ghost, we can use a jump dive and roll out to land on this guardrail. This works because we have invincibility frames after taking the hit. This saves us lots of jumps since we're practically at the hover nozzle now, with only 7 jumps by the end. As for Shine 4, I basically just played as I normally would. For Shine 5, I tried using Yoshi at first, but the fact that he can't jump at all is just way too limiting. With Mario, we can use the hover nozzle to go across these mushrooms, but then you may ask, how do I get past this gooey stuff? We're gonna take another page out of speedrunning again. What we need to do is jump backwards, clip through the tree behind us, then hover nozzle forward and clip through this mushroom to enter the loading zone. Once we do that, we only need to jump twice inside the secret area, leaving us with a grand total of 3 jumps, which is much better than if we brought Yoshi across the mushrooms. As for Shine 6 and 7, they were both easy to knock out, leaving us with 1 challenge left. That's right, we're about to tackle, mountain. Man, that is a weird word to censor. 2020, what even are you? Anyway, we actually didn't need to jump inside the mountain, but we did need to jump 2 times to get to the entrance. The final boss was fairly painless without jumping. When you use the rocket nozzle for hitting the ground and again to land near the middle, it simplifies your movement quite a bit. And there you have it. We have cleared Super Mario Sunshine with as few jumps as possible. But how many did it require exactly? Take your guess. The total amount of jumps was 117 jumps. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it would be way more jumps than that, and there might still be a little room for improvement, but those secret stages really brought this number up a lot. And just like that, you've got a fun fact about Mario Sunshine, so go tell your friends about this so they can give you a funny confused look. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Only epic gamers stay till the end of the video, and they like and subscribe and leave a comment, and their comment says, I had an ache today. Only epic gamers know this.